Okay, so hey students, today we're going to be studying about two SLOs, and we're going to be covering one topic, that's the chemical nature and importance of water. So let's move on. So the first one is 2.3.1, describe polarity of water molecules that results in hydrogen bonding. And then we've got discuss the properties of water that contribute to the sustainability of life on Earth that are cohesion, specific heat, low density of ice, heat of vaporization, hydrophobic, exclusion. Okay, so let's move into the video. So first of all, we've got the importance of water. So water is important in many aspects. So it's basically the medium of life and the most abundant compound in all organisms. It varies from 65% to 89% in different organisms. And in the human tissues, there's 20% of water in the bone cells, while there's 85% in the brain cells. Like you can see the ratio, we're practically made up of water. Like there are so many scriptures about that too. Like God made earth out of water, God made us out of water. So it also supports the, the theory we discussed earlier, that primordial soup too. So, okay. The jellyfish has exceptionally large amount of water, like 99% of water, and that's why it's transparent. And almost all reactions of a cell occur in the presence of water. It also takes part in many biochemical reactions, such as hydrolysis of macromolecules. It is also used as a raw material for photosynthesis. It is essentially for existence of protoplasm because protoplasm cannot survive if its water content is less than 10%. And the chemical and physical properties of water are so designed that they are absolutely important for the vital processes of life. You can also see there's a point written in here that we need water in the photosynthesis, and if there's no photosynthesis, how are we even going to survive? And there are so many reactions, like the hydrolysis of macromolecules. Hydrolysis basically means splitting of a molecule in presence of water. So if those reactions are not occurring, life can basically just not exist. Okay, so let's move on to the properties of water. So the first property is the polarity of water molecules. Water is a polar molecule, which means that it has a positive charge at one end and a negative charge at the other end. This polarity arises from the uneven distribution of atoms between the oxygen and hydrogen atom that makes up the water molecule. So in a water molecule, the oxygen atom attracts electrons more strongly because it's an electronegative atom. So the hydrogen atoms are just more attracted to the oxygen. So this results the oxygen atom having a partial negative charge and the hydrogen atom having a partial positive charge, since it's trying to give off its electrons, and this creates a dipole moment in the water molecule, which means that it has both positive and negative charges at opposite ends. Let me draw a diagram for you to understand better. So this is an H atom, and it has just one electron in its outermost shell. Well, this is an oxygen atom. I'm going to draw its electrons with the cross. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. It's not the correct or accurate structure of water, but I'm just drawing it so that you'll understand what I mean. So you can see this hydrogen in here. This has one electron. I'll just wait a second. Okay, so you can see this right here and this right here. It's a bond pair, two bond pairs, and there are two lone pairs. I'll just highlight lone pairs for you. Okay, so These are the lone pairs that you can see here. Two lone pairs and two bond pairs. And the electrons of the hydrogen are trying to get attracted to the oxygen, trying to go to the oxygen, which gives us a partial positive charge. When an atom donates an electron, it gets a positive charge in it. So it's not fully donating the electron, but the electrons are more attracted to the oxygen. That's why it gets a partial positive, not a full positive charge. While oxygen gets a partial negative charge because it's trying to donate and trying to accept an electron, trying to attract an electron. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide that discusses the hydrogen bond as a result of polarity. So the polarity of water molecules allow them to form hydrogen bonds with each other. And a hydrogen bond is a type of weak chemical bond that occurs between a partially positive hydrogen atom and a partially negative atom, such as an oxygen atom in another water molecule. So I'll just draw a water molecule in here. So you can see this water molecule HO and H, and here's another water molecule HO and H. They have a band geometry that basically means it has a V shape. So it has a V shape like this, band geometry. Okay, so one water molecule, like the oxygen, it has a partial negative. It will attract a hydrogen which has a partial positive, and this hydrogen will attract this oxygen which has a partial negative charge. So that's how hydrogen bonds basically form. So if there's like a sodium chloride molecule here, the chlorine would attract to the hydrogen, and the hydrogen would attract, the sodium would attract to the oxygen molecule, since opposite attract. So in water, the partially positive hydrogen atom is one water molecule can in one water molecule can form hydrogen bonds with the partially negative atoms in neighboring water molecules. This creates a network of hydrogen bonds between water molecules, which gives water its unique properties, such as its high boiling point, surface tension, ability to dissolve a wide range of substances. Okay, let's move on to the properties of water that contribute to the sustainability of life on Earth. I might have to make a part 2 of this, so please stay tuned. Okay, so water has high polarity. These are just the properties within here. We don't have all of these in our student learning outcomes, but I am going to discuss all of these in our student learning outcomes. I just have not mentioned just one property here, that's the protection, but we are going to discuss it. Okay. So the first one is called high polarity. Let's see what it really means. So water has high polarity. You see the image in here, like the electrons are trying to just get to the oxygen atom here, and you can see the oxygen atoms, the electrons getting pulled toward the oxygen atom, and in turn is giving it a partial negative charge, like we discussed earlier. The water is a polar molecule. Okay, so how this polarity basically helps. So just a second. So yeah, so the bonds which are formed with the mutual sharing of electrons between two atoms is called the covalent bond. I'm sure you probably know this thing. And the sharing of electrons between two atoms is fairly equal uh, in a non-polar bond, while water is a polar bond. Okay, so a polar covalent bond is a chemical bond in which the shared electrons are pulled closer to the more electronegative atom, making it partially negative and the other partially positive. You can see what this is the exact same thing happening in this, right? The electrons are attracting more towards the oxygen, while it's attracting less towards the hydrogen. It's moving away from the hydrogen. Okay, it's making it polar. Thus, in the water molecule, the oxygen atom has a slightly negative charge, and the hydrogen atom has a slightly positive charge. Because of the polar covalent bond, water is a polar molecule. Okay, we already discussed that, and it makes water a universal solvent for all the substances. And the ionic compound electrolytes can be easily dissolved in water, like our blood has so many electrolytes that need to be dissolved. Blood, just right. Blood. Blood has so many ions, and water dissolves them. Okay, and because it's a universal solvent, and there are ionic compounds or electrolytes. There are some non-polar compounds that have some organic compounds that have some charged ions in it, and the water will also dissolve that. And this is the reason why chemical reactions in the living body occur in aqueous medium. Let's move on to the cohesion and adhesion thing. Let's move on to hydrogen bonding again. I have to show you something. Okay, so the charged region of the molecule attracts to oppositely charged region of the neighboring molecules. We already discussed that. We're not going to repeat that. Okay, so because of the hydrogen bond, water is a liquid and it is soluble for life. And these hydrogen bonds are often represented by the dotted line because they can be easily broken. And the high cohesion and adhesion force of water is also because of the hydrogen bond, and that makes water a transport medium. You can see the DNA nucleotides, the bases, not the nucleotides, but the bases. You can see this. This is a thymine. This is thymine, and this is adenine. I should have just used a highlighter. Okay, so this is thymine, adenine, cytosine, and guanine, the four horsemen of DNA, or the four bases of DNA. So thymine makes two hydrogen bonds with adenine. Thymine and adenine make two hydrogen bonds. You can see in here. And the guanine and cytosine would make three hydrogen bonds with each other. That's how our DNA is like. It's a duplex, right? Like this. So these stair-like things that you see in the DNA, like these things, these are the nitrogenous bases that we just discussed: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. So that's how our DNA is intact. That's how our DNA is just not like moving apart. Then we should go to the cohesion and adhesion. Just erase all of it. Okay, so the cohesion and adhesion. Cohesion basically means the attraction between the water molecules, which enables the water molecules to basically stick together. Water can flow freely due to cohesion. Water has attraction to polar surfaces, which is adhesion. Adhesion basically means to stick. Cohesion also means to stick, but water molecules are sticking to one another. That's cohesion. And water molecules are sticking to the surface of something, a polar surface, that's adhesion. And both are due to hydrogen bond. And it enables it to circulate in the living organisms. You can see the diagram in the next slide. You can see this is a xylem. Both of these are xylem. The water molecules would travel through the xylem tubes in plants. And water has high specific heat, and that's why when we drink water, our temperature like decreases a little. So heat required for minimum increase of temperature of a substance. Water can be represented as number of calories required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water up to 1 degree Celsius. 1 calorie is like 4.18 joules, 4.18 joules. And high heat capacity of water is due to hydrogen bond too, because most of the heat that we provide to the water is just utilized in breaking of hydrogen bonds. A very large amount of heat, which means a very low increase in temperature. That's why water works as temperature stabilizer for regular for organisms in hot environments and protects living organisms against sudden thermal changes. So that's all for today, and we'll discuss more in the next video. Thank you so much.